Welcome back to the channel. Today I have the Trooper Hatchet, something you can pick up at your local fleet farm, probably online, a couple other places. Sun is going down, so I thought I'd just finish off a couple thoughts about this because this is a pretty affordable hatchet with a decent face on it. And, not a bad grain as far as the wood goes itself. It's American hickory. This is a tool. It's definitely a tool. This is not a craft-specific hatchet by any means, but it's a pretty good hatchet for multiple things. I did a little comparison just showing it between my Estwing, which is really my go-to carving hatchet, and this, and it did pretty good. I would not say that this is exactly as capable as that Estwing, simply because the Estwing has a shorter length of the actual blade. The head size itself, the bite is just as big, the mouth is just as big, but the eye, there's no eye because the Estwing is a full tang, but the eye portion is smaller, so it just slices better. It's got a true Scandinavian grind, which I have. I don't know if you can see, maybe I'll show some B-roll right here. I have given this, to the best of my abilities, a Scandi grind, because I wanted this to be a replacement for a chopping, kind of carving, spoon carving hatchet. And it's not quite there. It's really, really close, though. Really, really close. A couple of things that make this a good all-around hatchet, rather, would be the fact that it is good materials. I would say it's really good materials. It's held an edge decently. The edge it came with was more of a practical edge, and I just spent a little time on a belt sander and then on an actual file. I just took a file out, did the best I could, finished it up with a work sharp, and it's actually pretty level right at the moment. Pretty level, maybe just a little inconsistent right there, but it chops really, really nice, guys. I've had some good experience with it chopping, as far as, less control is needed, just big chops, big movements, swings, delimbing, just chopping stuff in half or splitting wood. It's slightly better at splitting wood than that hatchet from Estwing is, especially because I think the head is heavier and the hammer on it, that portion is wider. It's got that eye again. So it definitely splits a little better. There's a little more weight and authority behind it. The handle itself is much more comfortable than the Estwing hatchet. I'll say that. Having wood, it's just warmer to the touch. On days like today, it's 10 below right now. It's just cold. That's really cold. That's why I can only go a certain amount of time without gloves on right now. When it's this cold, you definitely want wood for a handle. Even those leather stacks or those full tang kind of tools, they get so cold to hold on to, especially if you're not wearing gloves for a little bit. You need that extra dexterity. This allows me to keep my dexterity because it's warmer to the touch. It kind of holds the heat better. It just doesn't seem to get quite as cold. That's what it seems like anyways to me. It's a really good build, though. I think it's put in well. I think the eye has been set well. I think the hammer face on it is pretty useful. It's a good size. It does seem to be hardened steel. I don't know. I've hit that against some really hard stuff. I know a lot of hatchets or axes, the rear is not hardened steel, really. Not properly hardened. And, rarely will you find something that's intentionally, differentially heat treated. Usually it's just big batches of this stuff coming out, but this is still really hard. I've hit it against some metal and it has not deformed severely, so I think it's a pretty good piece of steel. I do not know the actual content of the steel, unfortunately. I would guess it's carbon steel because I had slight rust right there. I only took a little bit of the finish off right here just because I wanted this to be smooth through wood and chopping. That was one modification that you're going to have to make if you buy this thing, is you are going to definitely have to sand off whatever grit is on here because it's this really grippy, I don't know what kind of Teflon grippy coating it was, but it was horrible. And so it wasn't that hard to take off. Just hit it with a sander real quick. And now it's smoothed out, so it slips through wood really well. And since this isn't going to have anything to do with wood, I don't mind if it has that coating on there. I want to keep it from rusting and keep it in good shape as long as I can. My Estwing, which has no coatings on it, that guy rusts. It definitely rusts if I don't take care of it. This one I want it to be a little more abuse-friendly. I don't have to be quite as careful with it. I really like the hook on the handle. The hook on the handle is really useful if you're going all the way back and you're using one hand to delimb. You're trying to do some more aggressive chopping. You need something like that right there, that little flare on the tang that keeps it from slipping out of your hand, especially, maybe not such a big deal when you can feel it, but when you're wearing gloves or mittens, like I am in the wintertime a lot of times, I need to have some sort of flare on the handle because otherwise I just can't do it. I can't hold on to it. The actual neck of it seems pretty strong. There's a good thickness to it. overall. Doesn't seem like it's been milled out too fast. You know, where if you go so fast with dull tools, it kind of chips the wood out, and the set isn't very good right up here in the throat. This one seems fine. The head hasn't moved around on me, you know, too much. It maybe settled in a little bit, just a little tiny bit, like 0.5 millimeter settled in, I think, after I started using it real hard. But again, I'm using it in 10 below temperatures, and that can move things around. The face of it is really good for just general material removal. It's big enough that you can hit big limbs with it, and you know, it's small enough that it's easy to pack with you. So it's a hatchet. You know what? I don't know what else you want me to say about it. It's a hatchet. It's a good hatchet. The main value of a hatchet for me is, how's that handle feel? Well, this one's pretty good. It's decent for spoon carving. If you wanted to try something different and you haven't tried the Estwing, I would say you could put a little more time into this and maybe make it superior to the Estwing. As it stands now, I still feel like the Estwing is superior in most ways, but this has more weight, and it probably is more efficient for actually chopping. Like if you're going to do more kind of generic woodwork, you're not chopping to make little spoons and you need lots of control, where this distance from the tip to the hammer matters. If that's not such a big deal to you, you probably do real well with this one versus the Estwing, because it's got more weight, it's got a nice handle. It doesn't come with a very good sheath. You will have to find some sort of mask for this thing. The mask that came with is just a rubber piece that fits over it, but they're usually throwaway anyways. Even the Estwing one isn't that good, so I would go ahead and invest in a good mask for it as well, so you can carry it on your hip or in a pack without worrying about this thing actually coming out and slicing something. It does get really, really sharp. It came reasonably utility sharp, but I put it to a shaving edge, and it's kept it. I don't have any chips or dings. I've been hitting some hard oak wood with it and elm with it, hitting a few knots from birch. No problems with it so far. So I just thought I would give you my 2 cents so far, guys, about the Trooper hatchet. I don't know what length this is, but I picked it up at Fleet Farm, and I think it was something like $35 when I got it. It's a decent deal. If nothing else, it's just a good one to have around the shop for a beater if you're looking for that. So that's my 2 cents. Thanks, guys.